That was outgoing Whole Foods CEO John Mackey pushing back on the socialist takeover he sees plaguing American corporations. Mackey also saying that he wonders if conscious capitalism has helped push some companies toward extreme policies, such as adopting environmental, social, and government trends. Dagen, this is the issue right now with this administration pushing through their ESG climate change agenda, and it's led by the socialists.
He came up, well, he wrote a book called Conscious Capitalism and used frequently the phrase stakeholders when referring to all of the people who are kind of have stakes in a company that you run rather than just shareholders or the owners. So John Mackey has always been this person. He was called in the New Yorker years ago a right-wing hippie, but he is a libertarian through and through. He was opposed to the Obamacare subsidies. He has questioned some climate science. So I think the people who shop there don't really understand and never have his ethos and his beliefs about capitalism and the role of entrepreneurs in this country. But I said on Gutfeld last night, his stores in these deep blue cities like New York have done more to foment socialism because you have these people who are working behind the register, working hard, having to deal with rich liberals who are, quite frankly, bossy, nasty, and poor tippers. So that would make me want some kind of wealth redistribution, too, if I had to work at a Whole Foods and deal with condescending big money liberals every day, which is exactly what it's like.
Lou, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect here to Mr. Mackey. I mean, he's a just phenomenally successful businessman, but you got to wake up. You hired and inspired most of the people you're bemoaning right now, so you've contributed to that, as Dagen has said. And what I do applaud him for, though, he is talking out about, look, this woke culture that wants to work in something that makes them passionate right out of the gate is something they need to just get over. I mean, all of us know that have come up working hard. I wasn't passionate about pumping gas in New Jersey. Work is work to get out of it, and to be entitled is just something that just needs to be eradicated from the younger cultures and have them understand that you got to earn and live and work towards your passions to get those opportunities. You shouldn't just be given anything.
I encourage people to listen to the podcast. It's with Reason magazine, a libertarian magazine, because one of the things that it seems like was really a tipping point for John Mackey, and he's leaving. He sold the company to Amazon and is stepping down as CEO, is what happened during the pandemic, because he came under a lot of criticism from the employees. Employees were not allowed to wear Black Lives Matter masks at work because they have a uniform, if you will. Employees were upset about when they had hazard pay that went away after the beginning of the pandemic. And what really kind of tipped John Mackey over the edge, and he talks about it, is where workers were getting the excessive unemployment benefits that far outweighed in some places what they were even making at the store, and they just stopped working and never came back to work. So this is something that we've all talked about during the pandemic and how it kind of upended work in this country, which, is a great source of pride and meaning in somebody's life. And he was, as an entrepreneur, just really upset by what government has done.
Yeah, it's a great point. We're going to continue following this.